everybody, and welcome to day 269 of Reese's Stories. And today I'm going to be reading you the first story out of these four lovely stories in this book called The First Stockings by Miles Kelly. And today I'm going to be reading you The Little Match Girl. It was dreadfully cold, it was snowing fast, and was almost dark as evening came on. In the cold and the darkness went a poor little girl, walking slowly along the street, barefoot. When she left home, she had shoes on, but they were much too big for her feet. And the poor little girl lost them in running across the street. So on the little girl went with her bare feet that were blue with cold in an old apron that she wore were bundles of matches which she sold to passer-by to make a few pennies each day, and she carried a bundle also in her hand. No one had bought so much as a bunch all day, and no one had given her even a penny. Poor little girl! Shivering with cold and hunger, she crept along, a picture of misery. The snowflakes fell on her long blonde hair, which hung down in curls. Lights gleamed in every window, and there came to her the delicious smell of roast goose, for it was New Year's Eve. In a corner she sat down, shivering. She drew her little feet under her, but still she grew colder and colder. She did not dare to go home until she had sold some matches, and besides, it was cold enough at home, for they had only the roof above them, and though the largest holes had been blocked with straw and rags, there were many holes left through which the cold wind whistled. Her little hands were nearly frozen with cold. She couldn't help thinking a single match might do her good if she might only draw it from the bundle, rub it against the wall, and warm her fingers by it. So at last she drew one out and struck it. Visit! It blazed and burned. It gave out a warm, bright flame like a little candle as she held one hand and then another over it. A wonderful little light it was. It really seemed to the little girl as if she sat down before a great iron stove with polished brass feet. The little girl stretched out her feet to warm them also. How comfortable she was! But then the flame went out, the stove vanished, and nothing remained but the little burnt match in her hand. She rubbed another match against the wall. It burnt brightly, and where the light fell upon the wall, it became transparent like a veil, so that she could see through it into the room. A clean white cloth was spread upon the table, on which was a beautiful china dinner service. A roast goose stuffed with apples lay upon a platter, sending up wisps of steam and smelling delicious. And then what was still more wonderful, the goose jumped from the dish and waddled along the floor straight to the little girl. But then the little match went out, and nothing was left but the thick, damp wall. She lit another match, and now she was under a most beautiful Christmas tree, larger and far more pretty than the one she had seen through the glass doors at the rich merchant's. Hundreds of wax candles were burning on the green branches, and bright baubles twinkled down upon her. The child stretched out her hands to them. Then the match went out. Still the lights of the Christmas tree rose higher and higher. She saw them now as stars in heaven, and one of them fell, forming a long trail of fire. Now someone is dying, murmured the little girl softly, for her grandmother, the only person who had loved her, who was now dead, had told her that when a star falls, a soul flies up to God. She struck yet another match against the wall, and again it was light. And in the brightness there appeared before her the little girl's dear old grandmother, bright and radiant, yet kind and sweet and happy as she had never looked on earth. "Oh, grandmother," cried the child, "take me with you. I know you will go away. When the match burns out, you too will vanish like the warm stove, the splendid New Year's feast, the beautiful Christmas tree," and in terror that her grandmother should disappear, she rubbed the whole bundle of matches against the wall, and the matches burned with such a brilliant light that it became brighter than midday. Her grandmother had never looked so beautiful. She took the little girl in her arms, and both flew together joyously and gloriously far above the earth, and for them there was neither hunger nor cold nor care. They were with God. But in the corner, at the dawn of the day, sat the little girl, stiff and cold, with the matches on, one bundle of which was burned. She wanted to warm herself, people said. No one imagined what wonderful visions she had, or how gloriously she had gone with her grandmother to enter upon the joys of a new year. The end. I hope you enjoyed that lovely first story in this book called The First Stockings by Miles Kelly, and other Christmas stories, obviously. And maybe tomorrow I'm going to be reading The First Stockings, or if I can find another Christmas book, I'll start that as well. I will do that as well. And then maybe the next day after, on Saturday, I will do The First Stockings. I don't know, but I'll have to decide. So I hope you enjoyed that lovely first story in this book called The First Stockings by Miles Kelly. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I guess I'll see you all tomorrow for day 270 of Reese's Stories. So bye everybody.